You're listening to the International I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on the platform that you listen to or watch us on. We really appreciate that support, and thank you so much for being here every week with us. Just want to start off by saying that we have been asking on our Instagram stories just for wedding worries, and this episode we're going to be talking about helping one of our listeners who's been in touch with their wedding worry. But first of all, we have a special guest with us this weekend in our virtual studio. This week, our guest is joining us. You may have heard about her in most of the episodes that we record, although I don't think we mentioned you last week.
Oh, no.
No, we didn't. And we thought it was about time that you joined us on the pod. So welcome to our wonderful, good friend and esteemed colleague, Tyler.
Woohoo! Thank
Would
you.
like some confetti?
I would actually, yeah. I am the final piece to your puzzle. Your
Oh.
third musketeer.
Well, the budget doesn't stretch to any kind of studio or real podcasting equipment at this stage, so confetti cannons aren't included in your appearance, I'm afraid.
And also, I wouldn't be able to work out how to do that on the edit either, so we'll just pretend.
I'll just take my cardboard box, that's fine. You have to show the listeners our setup.
So as ever, the podcasting professionals, we have very professional studios, which we basically make out of, well, Emma and I make them out of cushions every week. Tyler's gone to the lengths of building her own soundproof studio around her microphone, which is her phone. And we are very impressed with your efforts.
Thank you.
So I guess the best place to start this week, Tyler, is all about you. How is your wedding planning going?
Well, actually, I think quite well, to be honest. I thought I would be... I've been wanting to get married now for probably... I've been with Matt 9 years, so 8 years, 56 days or whatever it is. I think I knew from the moment we were together that we would get married. But it took me a lot of hounding, a lot of asking for him to finally propose in a hot tub. Not quite what I expected, but there we go. And here we are. So I'm a bit of a control freak, as most of you guys know. I love to plan. And it seemed at the moment, fingers crossed, to be working quite well. So
Tyler is one of the best people to plan a kind of event. So I think you've probably got it all under control.
Yeah. Before we started, I was saying about getting up my wedding Excel spreadsheet, which I've probably had for about 3 years. I only got engaged in March, so...
And how did you and Matt meet?
So we met working in the same village as each other. So Matt had been travelling for 2 years, and he's about 6 years older than me. And when he came back from travelling, we both worked in the same pub as each other, were really, really good friends. Then I went off travelling to Australia, came back. We used to meet every other weekend. He used to live in Kent and I used to live in Andover, so he used to travel back and forth. And then one night we went out to this biker bar and got crazy drunk, and one of the bikers dared us to kiss, and there we were. And then we thought, oh, actually, that feels quite nice, actually. But it probably took a good few months after that before we realised, actually, we wanted to make it a thing, and that was 9 years ago. So, yeah.
So cute.
You had your first snog in a biker bar.
Yeah, the rock bar. In the actually, this really funny story. So it was a new bar called the Rock Bar in Andover, and they had their like biker mates over, like their, what do you call it, like a sister biker band over from Germany. So the ones in Andover are called the Tess Valley Savages, which always cracks me up, and don't know what the German ones are. And all night we were in there, and I was going, I'll get one of those jackets. Matt's going, there's no way you're getting one of those jackets. I was like, I will put one of those jackets on by the end of the night. So then all of a sudden we were the last 2 people in this bar, and they're trying to get people out, and they somehow seem to take a fancy to me and Matt. They're all in like their big leather biker jackets. I'm there in a 2-piece bright pink cord shorts. Matt's wearing some kind of like, I don't know, Abercrombie and Fitch t-shirt. So we're completely out of sorts from the sort of people that they would be hanging around with. And they invited us back to the Clubhouse bar, which is a shed in the back garden. So we were like, yeah, of course, we'll go in there. So we rocked up, went through like this secret door into the clubhouse, and they had like this massive bell on the wall. And if you rung the bell, you had to pay for everyone's drinks in the bar for that one round. So Matt was like ringing this bell, and then they made him go out and get cash to buy everyone drinks. But every time they took a shot, they would go, to the Brotherhood. And I just thought that was hilarious. I wasn't allowed a shot because I was too pissed, but Matt was allowed the Brotherhood shot. And
can I just say that this sounds exactly like an episode of Sons of Anarchy?
I wish it was.
In Andover.
I wish Matt was Jax.
God love him.
Yeah.
So, your wedding planning is going well because you're super organised. If for whatever unknown reason you're just listening to this podcast now and you haven't heard every single episode that we've ever recorded which mentions you, what kind of wedding are you having? What's the theme that you've gone for? How did you get to that point? Tell us all about it.
Fab. So when we first got engaged, which was in March, we went back and forth deciding what our budget was, and decided that, you know, we probably don't want to spend all of our savings and all of our money every single month having this big extravagant wedding. So then we kind of ruled out the UK because all the venues that we loved were just too much money, and all the venues that we kind of liked were half-hearted. So then we decided, well, let's look abroad. I've always wanted to get married in France, but we never found the venue we wanted. So last year we went to Corfu on holiday and loved Greece, loved the food, loved the people, loved the kind of whole vibe. And while we were looking online, we found this incredible little white church, proper Mamma Mia style, right out on a peninsula, which is surrounded by water. And we just knew that was our kind of vibe. So we just went for it. So we're getting married in Corfu in the lovely Greece next September, which we're really excited about. So we found the church and I thought, no, I don't need a wedding planner. I can do this on my own. So I was like, right, I'd found a venue, I'd found the church, I'd found, you know, the DJ, all these things that I thought I loved. But the one key thing about that is I'm not Greek. And if you want to get married in Greece, you need to speak Greek, especially if you're going to get married in the little white church, because the priest, he doesn't speak English. So then we had to have a wedding planner. So we've managed to find this really nice lady called Janet. And it's quite funny because my mum's called Janet, Matt's mum's called Janet, and now we've got Janet number 3.
I didn't know that Matt's mum was called Janet.
Yeah. So she's the third Janet in our puzzle, and she's probably the biggest pain in our arse, to be honest with you. But I love her, and she is really nice. So we're at that kind of stage now where we've chosen our venue and we've chosen the church. It's really funny. You pay for a lot of things in cash, which I thought was a bit strange at first, but that's just how you do it.
You went back over, didn't you?
Yeah.
Meet her and look at the venues properly and meet some of the suppliers, and that's when they were asking you for the cash.
Yeah, asking us for cash straight into their back pocket. Yeah. So yeah, we went over in September this year, the same week that we're getting married, and just to see, you know, what the weather was like, what our venue would be like at that time, what the church was like, just to really kind of immerse ourselves into that whole experience. But also, we'd picked an area of Corfu we'd never even been to. We just kind of found it on the map and thought, that looks all right. And it's a tiny, not tiny, but tiny village with about 6 restaurants, a couple of bars. Should I tell you a funny story about this trip?
Yeah.
So we pull up in Corfu, we're so excited, and we get our little white hire car and we're driving through, and we drive to the church, and we got goosebumps. We think it's amazing. We haven't seen it in the flesh. It's like idyllic. The water's kind of brushing up against the sand, and fantastic. So we get in the car and we drive to the town, which is called Barbati. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we're driving through, and I thought, what the hell is this place? There was like an abandoned building on the side. None of the restaurants looked open. Then we had to go up this big hill to get to this apartment. But mind you, we just booked this kind of little rundown apartment, which cost €300 for the week. Get to the bottom of the hill and the car can't go up. The hill is that steep that the car won't go up. So then me and Matt having a full-blown argument at the bottom of this hill. He has to park at the bottom of the hill. We have to drag my new suitcase, which I got for my 30th birthday, up this hill while the wheels are going me like this. And I'm shouting at him going, you're going to break it. Anyway, we get in. I sit on the sofa and I burst into tears because I was like, this place is a shithole. Who wants to stay here? None of the restaurants are open. People have booked to come here. It's disgusting. 12 hours later, we're sat in the most incredible restaurant called The View, overlooking the sea, and my tune kind of turns and I'm like, this is amazing here. I've got a margarita in one hand and I'm like, this is the loveliest place I've ever been. So I'd say I was probably a little bit stressed then.
Yeah, the Greeks don't wake up until the afternoon. Well, they're physically awake, but they don't get going until the afternoon.
No,
I think of vibes.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure though. That's, I'd say, for most brides getting married in the UK, it's one day. You're asking people to come and stay maybe for one night, if that. If you're getting married somewhere close by, then people don't even need to have accommodation. I think when you're getting married abroad, the pressure, I'm finding that probably one of the hardest. People are spending a lot more money, but also they're using their annual leave. A lot of people are coming for a week. In my mind, when you wanted to drive through and it'd be like the most idyllic place people have ever been. And it's so gorgeous now. I've been and kind of lived in it for a whole week. But at that time I was thinking, oh my God, what have we asked people to book? And at that point, 40 people had already paid and booked.
But I guess those people aren't like, oh, well, you're asking me to use my annual leave and now I'm going to have to pay for my own holiday. Nobody's saying that, are they? Oh,
No,
I hope they're not.
No, they're not. I think it's just in your own head, isn't it?
Yeah. I can imagine that there would be that sort of pressure that you put on yourself. But if you think about it, whenever you get out of an airport, when you've booked a holiday, you get out of the airport and you get in your transport, whether that's a bus or a car, and you're driving through and you're like, oh no, you drive through the little bit that's not so nice before you get to the bit that's made for the tour. You're like, oh, what have we done? So
I've got into a habit where as soon as we get into the airport transfer, whatever that is, I will maps to the location of where we're going so that I know how much longer, so that if you are driving through that hellish area that isn't necessarily the location that you've booked, I know how much further there is to go, and I know that we've still got like an hour or whatever it is into the drive. Top tip for you right there. What have you enjoyed about the planning so far?
I have really loved putting our stamp on it. So I don't know, it's really funny what you think you're going to want before you're engaged, and then actually when you have to start making decisions, what you actually want. So Matt's a designer, so he wants everything very, very minimalistic. And before I was thinking, no, I'm going to want like flowers on everything and, you know, it to look quite girly. But actually, the reality is I'm really loving this kind of, is it monochrome kind of look? So we're going real kind of black and white, really simple. Our save the dates were like our initials with, I think, just the date and Corfu. There was no like save the date. He cut out all the wording, and now I love that. I think it's so nice.
It was really good as well because it set the scene for your wedding. So because he was really clear on how to design things, it really set the scene. So all the guests going know that that's the vibe. And if you listen to previous podcasts, like as a guest, getting that save the date or that invitation and knowing what the vibe is, gives you an idea of what you should be wearing, like that type of thing. So it was spot on.
Yeah, I agree. So I've really loved that. And the one thing I've really loved is the flowers. I don't know beforehand if I ever thought I would spend a crazy amount of money on flowers. And actually, if I was in the UK, I probably thought I'd spend half of what I'm spending now, because then I get to bring them all home. So God knows what I'm going to do with them all. But that's been my favourite thing, is in my mind, turning the church into kind of like this floral wonderland is hopefully what it's going to look like. But it's a bonkers amount of money, but I don't care.
Flowers do make a huge impact. They do really make a difference. So putting money into flowers because it's really important to you, I think it's a great idea. Are you allowed to take the flowers from the church to the venue?
Yeah. So that's all included. I actually got an email about a week ago telling me the plan of what they're going to do, and they really kind of spell it out to you that, you know, they're not going to start taking the flowers from the aisle when people are still there. So whether people think like they're going to turn up at the reception and all you know, magically all the flowers are going to be there, they said it probably will take an hour between you finishing the ceremony and it getting transported up to the restaurant where we're having our reception. So in my mind, I already know that's going to happen, which is really good. So when I turn up, it's not already going to be there. So yeah, they use it all. And then we're having like these kind of big aisle flower displays, which will be taken back up and be used. So they'll be at like the foot of the head table, all along the floor. They'll be next to the welcome sign. They'll be next to the table kind of plan. So we're reusing all of those displays when we get back up to the reception as well.
It's exciting.
Is there anything that has surprised you about the planning process? I know that you said that it's not what you thought your wedding would be before you were engaged. Is there anything else that you found surprising about the planning process, about how you and Matt are tackling it together?
One thing that surprised me is how expensive the UK ceremony is. Can't believe it. I'm sure I looked at a website and it said 48 quid, and I was thinking, bargain, we'll just go in, sign our paperwork and then come back out again. But it's not that. So now we're going to have like a kind of we're going to make it like a mini ceremony about a month before we actually have our Corfu wedding, so our grandparents can come, because none of them are coming to Corfu. Has anything surprised me? Not really, no.
I was going to say £48 is literally for your certificate. You've then got to pay for the hire of the registry room, the registrar's time, haven't you?
No, do you know what? Not at the moment. There hasn't been anything that I think, oh God, you know, I've got that to do, or I've got that to do. Me and Matt had not many arguments, to be honest. We work pretty good as a team. I think it's brought us quite close because you have a newfound love for each other after you're engaged. It's a really weird and lovely feeling. It's nothing like I can describe, and it's a bit gushy for me. But yeah, I felt like we've had another kind of spark within our relationship. But our communication skills have always been pretty good. But the one thing I do say about Matt is he won't just give in if he doesn't like it, like most men would just be like, oh, you can have whatever you want. He wants to he wants to have his say and he wants to put his stamp on it. And if he's not happy with it, he will say no. So I think that's quite nice.
Yeah, I think that's quite a good thing too, because if they're too placid, you don't feel like they're having any input or supporting your decisions. And if you've got a decision whether it's should we have beef or lamb for our dinner, and they're just like, oh, I don't mind, that's another decision you have to make. So when they're with you and they've got an opinion, even if it differs from yours, it's sort of helping you get through, because you make so many decisions in that year to 18 months you're planning your wedding. But it's just constant. So to have somebody to share that decision making with is probably really nice.
Yeah, I'd say it's actually really nice. And I'd say the thing I'm most worried about is the dress hunting, which is in 2 weeks.
So exciting for everyone else that's going, but
I
as we all
know.
know on this podcast, Emma and I absolutely despised this part.
Do you know what the one thing I'm most, I wouldn't say like worried about, is making sure Matt likes it?
Yeah.
Because I think it's probably the only one time where you're choosing something without asking them what they think of it. Because I know from your other podcast where you were saying about when you're getting ready and all of a sudden, your whole wardrobe's out on your bed. That is literally me every single time I go out. I'm always like to Matt, just come and sit on the bed. Like, tell me what you think. And if he ever says like, oh, I don't like that, I'd just be like, oh, shut up. I'm going to wear it anyway. But actually, I think it's one of the one times where you really want them to be like, that is incredible. And Matt has some really strong opinions on clothes. We all know this. You can't wear a skirt around him because he thinks they're vile. A denim skirt is out of the question.
Have you spoken to him about the dress and what his vision would be, to get an idea about what he's thinking, or have you not approached that subject at all?
So he said to me, he showed me a dress not long ago and said, please don't have one like this. And it's it's one shoulder.
Okay.
He has a real thing about one shoulder. We went to a wedding in Vegas and I wore this dress and it was one shoulder. And I remember every photo after, he was just like, I just hated that dress. That one shoulder just did not suit you. I was like, oh, all right, cheers, babes.
At least you've got one thing to avoid.
Yeah. No one shoulders, please.
But other than that, he's not giving it, not really.
No. And I'm a curvier girl. I'm a curvier bride. I think we all want to look our best on our big day, obviously. And I know, going from a wedding fair not long ago, me saying to one of the ladies who had the dresses, I'd love to just be skinnier, and her saying to me, oh, you don't need to be skinnier. I know I don't need to be, but I want to feel good when I'm in a photo, looking back at all my photos, thinking that I don't need to be a size 8, but I would just love to feel more comfortable within my own skin. And whether you're a size 8 or you're a size 28, I don't think it really matters. You will pick holes in yourself. But yeah, that's probably the one thing I'm most nervous about.
Are you taking? Sorry, Jen, who are you taking?
I'm taking my mum and my sister, which would be really nice. And we're heading down to Bournemouth. We're going to go to Wed to Be, and then we're also going to go to this other dress shop that I found called the Bridal Outlet Dorset. And it's an offshoot of another dress shop down there that is putting all their kind of, would you say sample sale kind of old stock into the shop, and all of the dresses are under about £1,200. So, and they keep posting more dresses onto their social media, and they just look so nice. So
my kind of vibes.
Yeah.
I think you get I think the way that you're doing it is a nice way to do it, because you get the experience at Wed to Be, the trying on, and the nice, the nice waiting room, and the person who helps you, and blah blah blah. But then you're going somewhere with a good idea of what you want and what you don't want, and you'll be able to buy sample sale dresses. Honestly, I would highly recommend it, as we've spoken about in previous podcasts. I also found the not having Ian's opinion on what to wear, because even when I get a Zara delivery, whether he's on a work call or not, I'm walking into his office with what I've just bought from Zara, being like, what do you think of this? And what about this? And he'll be like, no. Or he'll be like, that's okay. But then when something looks really nice, he's like, yeah, you should keep that. And not having his opinion on that specific part of the wedding, as you know, I found really stressful.
Because they're your best friends. I know we all have best friends, and I know I have lots of best friends. We always joke about that. I'm the social butterfly of Hampshire. But there's certain things you talk about with your partner that you don't share with anyone else. You know, I wouldn't necessarily call you two girls and be like, oh, what do you think about this? You might send it in a photo before you're about to go on a night out, but I wouldn't send you everything that I ever got through from Boohoo. It's Matt, the one I'm doing my movie montage down the hallway, going, what do you think? Yeah, again, you know, what do you think about this? And him just being like, what is that? Like, or it gives you some really nice kind of butterflies when they do go, that looks really nice on you. And they're honest, aren't they?
Yeah. It'll be fine, Tyler.
Yeah.
I think as long as you don't go one shoulder and a short skirt, he'll be happy.
Denim.
Yeah.
All denim shoulder.
No denim. And I think as long as you feel comfortable, and when you put it on, if it's the right one, you will get a certain like, oh, even if it's not gushy,
yeah,
you will get a certain feel. You feel comfortable. You like the way that if your problem area is your bust or your waist, you'll think, oh, actually they don't look too bad in this, and so you will find one. And if you're comfortable and you feel good, that they will like it. Because realistically, how many, if you were to go to any man that's been married and say, what was your wife's dress like? They would be like, it was white and long with some lacy bits. No, they won't. That's not what they won't remember it in detail like we do.
I also think that once you find the right one, even if you're not sure, you will feel the most comfortable in it. And your mum and your sister will know, and they'll be able to say, you look comfortable in this. You look like you feel comfortable, you feel confident, you look your best as you in this dress.
Agreed.
Because that's what you said to me.
Well, yeah, it's true. And when you're not the person in the hot seat, you know, when I went with you, Jen, you know, I thought every dress looks amazing, and I thought that one looks amazing. And then actually, when the one came on, we were both like, wow. Because off the hanger, it just didn't give the same kind of feeling, did it? Until you put it on and it fits your body and all those things. So, yeah, what will be, will be.
Very exciting. It's honestly my favourite part of the bridal experience when I'm not the bride. It's just, I love fashion. I love bridal fashion. I just love the whole thing for other people, not for myself. So on a similar theme, so when we put out onto the Instagram story, just asking people what their worries and what they were worrying about, dilemmas, that kind of thing, we had a really good response. So thank you everybody for feeding in. We are going to use all of them in the coming weeks and months, just as different topics to talk about. This particular one really fits with what we've just been talking about. And it's come in from one of our listeners who's basically said that they're worried that they won't look how they want to on the big day. And Em, is this something that you felt like? How did you tackle this?
I definitely worried. I definitely worried about how I was going to look, because I think as a bride, there is a certain amount of expectation that you're going to like walk out and wow everybody. And I think you internalize that, like, oh, I've got to have my skin's got to be nice, my nails have got to be good, my hair, everything. I've got to lose weight, I've got to pick the right dress. What if my fake tan goes wrong? And so you put all that pressure on having everything perfect, when actually Jen and I, when we do our little bit of a side hustle, see lots of brides, and even if you don't know them very well, there's something about when they step out with the music in their white dress that it actually doesn't matter, because there's a feeling that you walk down the aisle with. So whether your eyelashes are the length that you want them to be, or you've got the perfect earrings in, doesn't really matter, because every single bride walks down that aisle and it fills the space anyway. But yes, you do feel it, and you do worry about your weight, and you do worry about your makeup, and if your hair's going to be the right color, and this and that and that. But really, it doesn't really matter as long as you feel pretty and you feel your best. It doesn't matter.
And Tyler, you've said that the way that you feel about it already is that you just want to look nice and feel nice for the pictures. Is there anything else that you've thought about?
I would say to the person that, if it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you, again, like Em said, you want to feel you're the most stunning you've ever felt, and it's society that puts that pressure onto you, isn't it? And also yourself. I would say just prep. That's how I feel like I'm going into it. I want to make sure that I'm not going to have much time, because I'm only having my trial hair and makeup done, I think, on the Tuesday or Monday before I get married. But I'm going to go to a friend of mine who is a hairdresser, and just even prep my hair even before, try out your makeup. If you want a fake tan, then maybe have one a few months before to see how you like it. Just prep as much as you can to make yourself feel good on the day. I think sometimes if you leave it right until the last moment, then the panic sets in and you feel like you have to do all these things, but only allow yourself to get kind of stressed about a few things. You can't control it all. You can't control your weight, your nails, your hair, all those things all at one time. So maybe make sure you think about, what is the priority for you? Is it that you look really good in photos? Then you probably need a bit more makeup on. So it's when the lighting hits, etc., etc. So I'd just say plan and prep as much as you can. But again, you'll glow anyway, I think. I've never ever seen a bride where I thought, oh, they're minging.
There are some things you can do like in advance. So if you're really worried about it, there are some things that you can start to do that's like even before. So when I first got engaged, I told my hairdresser that in 12 months time I'm getting married. I'd like the longest blondest hair we can get for then. And then I had 3 hairdressing appointments in that time, which followed my normal schedule, so I wasn't pumping loads more money in. But he knew that that's what we were trying to achieve.
That's a good idea.
So he just slowly got me the blondest we could get that looked natural, the longest hair, the thickest hair, so we weren't, damaging it. And he worked with me to do that. You can start drinking more water. That will help your skin, even if you don't suffer from acne or hormonal spots. Drinking more water will bring out all the impurities, so it will look better on the day. You can start walking more, doing a bit more exercise if that's something that you're worried about. So there's that long-term prep that you can start doing that actually doesn't cost very much, that will help you feel better, maybe.
And if you've got all the money in the world, do Ozempic.
One thing that I did want to say before we got into this was when I read this, 80% of me was upset that somebody could even feel this way, but then 20% of me knows exactly how they're feeling, because I did have a look at your profile. So, and I just wanted to say that you honestly have nothing to worry about. You are stunning, you are a beautiful person, and your partner, husband will they love you now, regardless of what you look like on your wedding day. And I think that you go through so much as a couple that ultimately, if you walk, as Em said, the door's open, you're walking down whatever aisle you've chosen to walk down, you could honestly be wearing a bin bag with greasy hair and nobody would care, because you have that bridal glow. And that bridal glow is you seeing your husband at the end of the aisle, knowing that you're making one of the best decisions of your life. So everything that I've just said, I'm about to contradict everything from my own experience. If I could take my own advice, I would. But I can't, because I completely understand where you're coming from. You always, it doesn't matter what size you are, at what point in your life you are. I think every single person wants to feel their best, but you will look your best on your wedding day. Do not worry about it. And as Tyler said, just start prepping and planning. As Emma said, let your hairdresser know. Let these people know in your life. If you've got a lash technician, if you have your nails done, blah 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 blah. You can start planning when before your wedding you're going to have them done. Do a few test runs, all of that kind of thing. I did make a list of my wedding prep, but I do not want this to influence our listener in any way whatsoever, because I just characteristically am very hard on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. It's just who I am. And I was really determined to look and feel my best, because in my mind, I had this preconception that I would have been married at 25, I would have looked my best and everything would have been fine. That wasn't the reality. So decided to invest in a personal trainer. Facials, we'll say. I also started getting my teeth straightened, and that was during lockdown. So that was, I think I had maybe 6 or 8 months before the wedding that they were completely finished, straight, treatment done. I also became obsessed with whitening my teeth. I was also taking collagen supplements because I really wanted my skin to glow. I had a weave put into my hair to make it thicker, because my hair was long at the time, but very fine, thin hair. So I trialed having a weave and that worked really well for me. Highlights, had a mad panic about my hair colour because I didn't have an appointment within 2 weeks of the wedding, which I thought was, I just panicked about the whole thing. And I remember messaging my hairdresser basically being like, should we put some highlights in the week of my wedding? She was like, you need to calm down. Your hair looks fine. Just relax with it. Rest, I've put in. Just rest. Find some time to rest. Get an early night, have a lie-in, blah, 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 because you'll need it.
I would say that too, especially like the 2 weeks before. Make sure that you do have some nice time to rest.
Or why don't you have your makeup trial with your eyes closed?
I'm laughing because I know there'll be no rest the 4 days before my wedding. We're having pre-wedding drinks the night before, so I need to force myself to go to bed.
You probably need a curfew. You
I
need to
do,
get your
100%.
bridesmaids or your mum or Janet, the wedding planner, to initiate a curfew so that you can't be mad at anyone else.
Then night wrecker will appear the night before my wedding.
That'll be. I don't mind being the night wrecker. But I'm going to bed, Tyler. Come with me. Come
on. So I honestly think that you can do as much prep as you want to, or you could do absolutely no prep, because ultimately you could be getting married on a beach with no makeup, no hair, au naturel, and your husband and you will feel perfect in yourself.
Yeah,
I agree. I think you just have to do things within your own budgets as well. Mm-hmm. Don't get yourself in masses of debt over it, because that's silly as well, and I've seen that in the past. But just do what you think will make you happy, ultimately, isn't it? If you think all those things are going to make you feel happy on your big day, then do it. And if
honestly, straightening my teeth is one of the best things I've ever done. Yes, it it was quite manageable payments because I did it over a 12 to 14 month period. I'm now not self-conscious about my smile. I don't refer to my Nanny McPhee tooth. I don't think about my snaggle tooth. I just don't think about it anymore. But
I think that straightening your teeth is slightly different. Yes, it did coincide. The final push for you to do that was your wedding, but it was something that you wanted to do, and it's something that's lasting. It's not like a one and done. I'm just gonna put £1,000 into this thing to make me look pretty for this one day. It was like you just used the wedding as an excuse to get it done, really.
that is true, because I don't think I would ever have done it if I didn't have a deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the deadline is the key point to it. It makes you do things that you think, oh, I'll do that next week, or you know, I'll push that over to next month again. You have got a deadline of whatever day it is, so you have to get it done.
Mm-hmm. So if you had any advice that you would give someone who's feeling anxious about this, what would you say to them?
I would say be kind to yourself. I know it's a bit cliche, but you do need to be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There will be that wedding magic that just happens, and you'll be, even if you don't feel it 100%, you will become the most beautiful person in the room. And also, she said that she's worried that she's not going to look the way that she wants to.
Yeah.
If there's something that she wants to do, if she wants to have a red lip, if she wants to wear a different coloured dress, if she wants to have her hair in a mohawk, whatever it is that she wants to do, just do it. You don't have to be a white dress with a pale pink lip and a little posy. You can, whatever makes you feel your best. If you want to get married in Doc Martens, like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just make yourself feel like yourself and be kind to yourself.
Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. I also think as well, don't compare yourself to other people, because I think that is a major factor in it. You know, we're constantly comparing our lives, ourselves, our bodies, our weddings to what other people have done or are going to do, you know. So try not to compare yourself to the Joneses, and just, yeah, be kind to yourself and do you, put your own stamp on it. You know, it doesn't, not everyone has to be the same. So
Mm-hmm. Great advice. I wish you'd said that to me before my wedding.
you wouldn't have listened.
Yeah.
Very true, but it is one of the things that my husband says to me all the time. Be kind to yourself. You're too hard on yourself. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're not being nice to yourself, blah, blah, blah. He says it to me probably once a week. And it is my own expectations of myself. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. And ultimately, if I walk down the aisle in something that people weren't expecting, people would have still been like, you look beautiful, because it's your wedding day.
Yeah.
And you have, we see it all the time when we're working the side hustle. You see the clients when you're talking about the wedding, and you do their consultations and you get to grips with their vision, and then you really get to know them in that process, and probably over the course of 12 months. And then you do a venue walkthrough, so you see them in real life and they look a bit different to how they looked on the screen. And then you see them on your wedding day, and honestly, it's my favourite part, if we're lucky enough to still be there when the bride walks out of wherever she's walking out of, or the couple, depending on what their situation is, and they walk out of where they've got ready to the aisle. Literally, you can see Emma and I sort of peering around curtains and like popping out from behind bushes just to see, because honestly, it doesn't matter all of that stress that you've put on yourself in the build up. All of that will go away as soon as you step out and you see your future husband or your future partner.
And when people are saying, oh, you look amazing, people aren't lying.
No.
So, you know, you go through your day and say, oh, people say, oh, them trousers look nice on you. Your hair looks really nice today. And you sort of brush it off as like somebody just trying to be nice, but you don't really take that compliment in. You don't believe it. people don't lie about them kind of things, and especially on your wedding day, people aren't saying, "Oh, you look amazing," just because they feel like they should. They honestly are saying it because they believe it. So take them compliments. So when your hairdresser's there in the morning and you're feeling nervous, and she said, "Oh, you look really beautiful," and then they're doing up your dress and people are telling you that you're beautiful, they're not lying. Believe it and take that confidence with you through the day.
I think as well, all those people that you've invited are the people that mean the most to you in yours and your partner's life. So yeah, their kind of affirmations and their compliments are genuinely from their heart. You know, there isn't going to be anyone at your wedding who is doing it maliciously. So yeah, you're going to glow.
It's nice. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, like, rate, and review on whatever platform you listen or watch us on. Thank you, everyone. Just a massive thank you from Emma and I to everyone that joins us every week. And Tyler, thank you so much for being our very special guest, because we talk about you all the time. Hope you've enjoyed it.
I have actually. Love it. I feel famous.
And let us know and hound us so we can get Tyler on some more episodes. Give us thumbs up and likes and stuff, and we'll know that you like her and we'll get her on more.
On this international I Do Crew podcast. If you want to keep up to date with all things podcast, if you've got any worries or dilemmas that you want us to go over, or if you want to share the love on Tyler as our guest, special guest this week, please just pop us a DM or share your thoughts on our at the I Do Crew podcast. Next week we're talking all things blank, because don't know what we're talking about next week, Em.
Well, it was my job, wasn't it, to write a list of topics, and I have done that list, and the list is just in the notebook, which I haven't gone through.
Excellent.
So I will get on that.
Next week will be a surprise. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And from me.
You've been listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Keep up to date with our podcast news by following our I Do Crew podcast Instagram account. Thanks for listening.